Hey everyone, this is Raptor's blog Animation Bliss, and welcome to another anime discussion series. So today's anime discussion is going to be on my thoughts on the 7th episode of the Amazing Digital Circus Beach episode. So let's talk about this episode. So the episode starts off with Kane deciding to give the players a break from all the crazy shenanigans that they had in the previous episodes, and so the players ended up going to the beach to have time to relax. But after the players enjoyed their beach vacation, they ended up meeting an NPC who looks like a puppet, and it turns out that the NPC player knows about how to get the players out of the digital circus, which is something that all the players have been trying to do since the beginning of the series. And so all of the players decide to follow this NPC in order to get out of the digital circus for good. So what are my thoughts on this episode? Oh my god, this episode was wild, you guys. Like, this episode is probably the most shocking episode since the 6th episode that revealed everything about Jax's character. And a lot more has happened with Jax's character in this episode that I might have to go to spoiler territory in order to get all the details about Jax's character in this episode. But yeah, this episode was really shocking, and I just have so much to say about this episode. So let's talk about the things that I liked about this episode. So the first thing that I liked about this episode was the mystery. Now, this series does have a lot of mystery to the plot, especially about how the digital circus really works and how will the players be able to get out of the digital circus. But this episode really brings that mystery to the forefront of having an NPC player trying to get the players out of the digital circus for real. And I really love the mystery around this NPC player and about how he knew about the player's situation with the digital circus. And I like the fact that the mystery of this episode is focused on the players deciding if they should trust this NPC player or not. And then, of course, they really want to get out of the digital circus, so they're going to take whatever they can get to get out of the digital circus, even if it means trusting somebody that they don't know very well. And I just love how this episode was able to play that mystery aspect very well. And there's a lot of twists in this episode that I'll probably get more into detail with later that really shocked me to the core, and it really turned everything that I thought about the show on its head. So yeah, I really love the mystery aspect of this episode. Another thing that I liked about this episode was the twist nature of the episode. So I have mentioned that there's a lot of twists going on in this episode, and how all the theories that we, the audience, had about the show at this point will all disapprove in this episode. So yeah, I really love the twists and turns of this episode. And I guess it's time for me to really get deep into this episode in order to fully explain my thoughts about this episode. So from this point forward, there's going to be spoilers for episode 7. I will have a spoiler tag for all the spoilers in this episode for those of you who haven't seen this episode yet. So if you haven't seen the 7th episode of the Amazing Digital Circus and you don't want to be spoiled, then please feel free to skip through the spoiler section of this video. However, if you've already seen the 7th episode of the Amazing Digital Circus and you just want to know my thoughts on this episode, then keep watching. Alright, let's get into the spoilers. So towards the end of the episode, it appears that the players have to choose between the red button and the blue button. And one of the buttons would take the players back to their hometown, while the other button would cause the players to stay in the Amazing Digital Circus. And unfortunately, because Jax has a panic attack during this whole thing, he ends up pressing the button that would cause the players to stay in the Amazing Digital Circus. But it turns out that this whole episode was a game that was created by Kane, and he was like, well, if you choose the wrong button, you know, you guys could have gone to Shrimp Town or something like that. But of course, this upset the players a lot because, of course, they really wanted to get out of the Amazing Digital Circus, and they thought that they were going to leave the circus for good until Jax kind of messed things up. But then it's revealed that in this episode, Kane actually has the ability to control the minds of the players, which means that what Jax did in this episode was probably a result of mind control from Kane. And now that they know that Kane is able to manipulate their minds, it kind of turns everything that we knew about the show on its head. Like, how much of the show is actually real, and how much did Kane manipulate everybody's minds throughout these games? That actually has me really curious, and I'm really interested to see like where this is all going to go. Is this going to lead to the players rebelling against Kane once and for all, now that they know that he's capable of controlling their minds whenever he feels like it? And what's going to happen to the players at the end? Are they still going to stay in the digital circus, or are they going to finally leave once they find a real way to get out of there? I am curious about all this, and I can't believe that this episode was able to reveal so much about the characters themselves and a lot about Kane himself. So yeah, everything in this episode just shocked me to the core, with the big twist revelation towards the end of this episode. Now, if there was an issue that I have with this episode, was that I felt like that the episode ended way too abruptly. Like, this episode ended on such a huge cliffhanger, and I was actually really upset about that because I was like really getting into the mystery of this episode, and then all of a sudden this episode ends on a huge cliffhanger, and now I have to wait until 2026 to find out what happens next. So yeah, I never had a good relationship with cliffhangers in general, especially when the story of a TV series gets really good. So yeah, I was really upset that this episode ended on a huge cliffhanger and we have to wait till 2026 to find out what happens next. And now a word from this channel. All aboard the Animated Social Media Express. Want to send some tweets my way? Then follow me on Twitter. Want to join our special animation community? Then join our Discord group, Animation Bliss. Want to see more updates on our YouTube videos? Then check out our Facebook group, Animation Bliss. Want to download on everything going on with this channel? Then check all of the above. And now, back to the video. But overall, I really enjoyed the 7th episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. This is probably the most shocking episode of the entire series, and there's a lot of twists and turns that happen in this episode that really took me by surprise. And I like the fact that we get to know more about these characters, especially about Kane and Jax themselves. So I can't wait to see where all these characters are going after this episode. And apparently there's only going to be 9 episodes released of this series, so we got like 2 more episodes left until the show officially ends. So yeah, I can't wait to see how this show is going to end. But those are my thoughts on the 7th episode of the Amazing Digital Circus, and tell me in the comments down below, have you guys seen the 7th episode of the Amazing Digital Circus? Please let me know in the comments down below. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Rabbit Explorer Animation Bliss, and I'll see you guys later. Hey animation fans, like this video? If you want to see more animated content from this channel, then please hit that big old animated subscribe button so that you can get more awesome content from this channel.